Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. It's bank holiday weekend here in the UK. It's the last bank holiday weekend of the year. So even though it's Sunday, I'm not working tomorrow. We get the Monday off. Yay. I've got annoying stuff I've got to do around the house, but I get a day off work. Yay. I'm actually really glad it's a long weekend because I've had a very, 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 very busy couple of weeks of work. And we've I've got this big project I've been working on. We've got a hard deadline of this coming Friday to get it finished. So I'm like, we are so close. But I think it's going to be a bit of an intense week at work, or should I say 4 days at work, when we're back after the bank holiday weekend. So we're just gonna, see how it goes, take it from there. I've just been, it's mainly been work the past couple of weeks since you last saw me, and doing grown-up things like renegotiating my mortgage because my 5-year fix has come to an end, and sorting all of that out, and just being an adult, which is really boring. But stuff like that has to be done, and I just have to keep thinking that in about a month's time I've got 2 weeks off from work. Hey, so happy. It's been years since I've taken 2 weeks off together from work. I usually take 1 week, but because of it's been years since I've done 2 weeks. I have done so much work this year. It has been insane, and there's massive projects and everything. My line manager actually advised that that all of us that are involved with this project take some time off to recharge the batteries and everything. So so I've decided to take a couple of weeks off, sort of end of September, early October, which I'm very excited about. But anyway, enough of all that. Let's talk about the book that I've been reading over the past couple of weeks, which is The Enigma of Room 622 by Joel Dicker. Now, I was saying when I announced this book, when I was talking about this book, that I pronounced his name as Joel because I didn't know exactly how to pronounce his name. Just so you know, he is from Switzerland, and has the double accent over the E, so I was like, I wasn't sure exactly. I have seen his name referred to as Yol, as Joel, and as Joel, but when I looked at interviews and put into translator and everything, everyone used Joel. So that is why for this video I'm going to use Joel when I talk about him. So so just so you're aware, I did do my research as much as I could into how to actually pronounce his name, and that is what I came up with. So there we go. So what can I tell you about this book? So this book I found at the beginning of this year when I was looking through Waterstones, and the cover just popped for me. I'm like, look at that cover. Look at that stunning cover. I absolutely love it. And now that I've read the book, I love it even more. There's just something just so perfect about that book cover when I read it up. And I just picked it up, and I was just like, I need to read this book. So I bought it, and I've now been able to read it. So what is this book about? Now before I start, I want to give a little thing, a sort of mini review in a sentence. If you love the film Inception, if you find it intriguing, that kind of structuring, that complexity, and you wanted that in a novel form, this book is for you. Let me put it that way. So, in real life, Joel is a writer, as I said, based in Switzerland, has a successful career and everything in writing, and he had an editor all through his career called, spelt Bernard, but I gather would be pronounced Bernard. I gather. That's me guessing. I haven't actually looked into that, but I'm going to guess that's how it's pronounced. And sadly, he passed away, and it had a great impact on him, so much so that this book is dedicated to him. And it's kind of about him because Joel is a character, our lead character in this book. He has just been dumped by his girlfriend. His personal assistant is going on holiday for 2 weeks, and his editor, Bernard, has just died. And so his world has just completely been shook up. So given that he's like all on his own and his editor's away for a couple of weeks, he decides to have like a mini holiday, as it were, to clear his head and try and process his grief of all of these losses. Yes, I know his personal assistant being away for 2 weeks is not a massive loss, but his personal assistant does like everything for him and gives him so much structure in his life. And the fact that his girlfriend and his left and his editor has died, the only thing that's propping up is his personal assistant, and the personal assistant's going on holiday for 2 weeks. So it's just, it to him, it feels like everything, the entire structure of his world is just gone. And so he goes to this hotel to get to deal with his grief, to have this sort of mini holiday and just try and process things. And when he is there, he gets given the room number 623. And as he's going along, you know, the corridors and everything, he just gives us 621, 621A, and then 623. So the fact that 622 doesn't exist, he finds that rather perplexing. And later on, he goes down to the bar and meets a woman called Scarlett, and they sort of start a conversation, and he mentions it, and she gets intrigued as well. And the two of them together go off on this mystery to find out what happened in room 622. So that's the basic outline, and it's all about discovering what happened. Now, as mentioned just before, I said that if you enjoy stories like Inception, the film Inception, where there's so many levels to it, there's so many flicks back and forth, there are so many characters of, can I trust them, can I not trust them, are they who I think they are, that kind of thing, this is perfect for you. Because we have got stories within stories within stories, and the fact that Joel, our writer, is also our lead character, it just feels, it's really weird. But what is brilliant is that Inception and this book do one thing which is so brilliant, and that is, even though they, both of them, are modern settings, technology has no play in this. You will not find a reference to a smartphone, to a laptop, to a computer, to the internet, nothing. So the fact that when you start reading this book and it jumps back in time, and with the build up of what happened in room 622, we don't know what year it is. And so when you're reading this book, you really, I felt, this could be like back in the 1930s. It almost feels that kind of Poirot-esque setting, where you feel like you're in a completely different time, a different decade, completely. Like the fact, because there is no technological advances that are mentioned whatsoever, like to the degree, like not even light bulbs are mentioned, if you get me. It's like, it's to that degree. No one uses a telephone. No one turns on TV. No one listens to music. No one uses the internet. No one uses smartphones. No one uses laptops. No one uses computers. Nothing is referenced. So it felt otherworldly. And I loved that, because it does give you that sense of, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. And that makes the mystery all the more interesting, I find. So, yeah, you've got a lot of stuff going on here. Now, be aware, this was first published in 2020 in French. because that's the I believe that's the language that Joel speaks, but I think it's that thing that because Switzerland has multiple main languages, I think it's something that in the school system that they learn the multiple languages. So I don't know if French is Joel's first language, as it were, or if it's a case of that he's fluent in the others as well. I have no idea. But this was published in 2020 in French, and it was translated in 2022 by someone else in English. Okay, so this is a translated copy. And structure-wise, like I said, it's like Inception. You are like falling through time and jumping through time every few pages and such. And sometimes a chapter will refer to, say, like 15 years before the death in room 622, and then you'll have, I don't know, like 3 pages talking about something, and then you'll have a gap, and all of a sudden the next bit is actually in a different time zone than the 15-year bit that you've just read. So sometimes you are flipping back and forth through time in the same chapter. Sometimes it does indicate when it shifts, sometimes it doesn't. And you will have this thing also that you will have different perspectives of characters flipping back and forth through chapters as well. So you're never stable. You never have the ability to go, right, I think I'm okay right now. I think I'm getting this. And what is so annoying is that when Joel starts leading you down the path of going, I think this is something, we're getting more concrete, we've got about, 50 pages when we make it even more stronger concrete, I finally got a hard ground, he goes, psych, no, and then just rips it out. Start again, go back to the beginning, go back those 15 years ago and look at that again. And so I have this weird thing with this book where I'm constantly feeling like, oh, for fuck's sake, damn you, Joel, for doing that to me. I get really angry, but I can't put the book down. This is the thing. I was just like, I need to know what happened in room 622. But yeah, as I was saying just before, sorry, I fell a bit down on a tangent then. This is a translation, so I don't know if certain phrasing is directly translated from the book, or if that phrasing has been decided to be used by the translator. There is a note about the translation at the back of the book, just so that you're aware. If you want to read further about the translation process, then you have that part at the back of the book to read. So yeah, sometimes it did frustrate me a little with that. But it didn't stop me reading it. But I know that for some readers, that is going to annoy the heck out of them and perhaps make them DNR this book. Which, if they do DNR it, I totally get it. Not every book suits every person. Fine. We've seen that many, many times on this channel where I've talked about it, and there are books where I've had to DNR it. But the ending has got such a gem to it, such a gem of an ending. And I'm glad that I did figure out who did it, but only when we got to the point where there were only 2 possibilities. It was that far down the book that I went, okay, let's think about this. Let me break this down. Let me put this logically in order. Who could it be? And I was like, I really had to think about this. I really had to think. I'm not going to say what I was just about to say because I just realised I would have given the game away. But yeah, I went, okay, right, let's think about this. The throughout all of this, it's like the hidden identities, people in shadows, things that don't make sense, conversations. Did they happen? Could they happen? Where they happened? Different things. It just felt like, I think it's got to be that person, and I got it right. I was so happy. But what I love was that the payoff of the ending of finding out who did it is not the payoff that I'm talking about. There's something else. And when that happened, I was like, oh, damn, Joel, you are good. You are good, man. This is my first time reading one of his books, and I'm like, I really want to read more of this guy's work, because holy shit. Now, as mentioned, because there are so many levels, so many flashbacks, so many things, it kind of feels like I didn't do this, but at points I was like, I feel like I need a notepad to write down all the situations of people, where they are, what they were doing, what the connections are, in order to get this right in my head. It felt like that. So sometimes it can feel really complicated, really confusing. Like I said, Joel, he will make you believe that something is good, and then he'll rip the rug out from under you and go, no, throw that in the bin and start again. At times, then it could be frustrating, it could be really tough, but my God, it is brilliant. It is so good. But what I think would be really interesting is if the next time that I read this, I do it via audiobook. I think the audiobook might be more interesting. Not that I'm saying that the reading experience isn't interesting, but I think it's just that thing that I'd like to hear the world. It sounds strange, I know, but when you're reading, you visualize the world, obviously, and I kept on visualizing it because it was beautifully described, all that lot, lovely. But this is so intricate and so detailed. I think I spent a lot of the time, because I was trying to figure it out, and I was trying to take in all the information, but then block out the stuff I didn't need, and then trying to figure, and my brain was just a bit garbled. I think with the audio experience, because I already will then have known what is going on, I can appreciate his words even more. And sometimes hearing words rather than reading words, you get a different experience. And I think it really helps if the person who's doing the audiobook, quite frankly, is an actor. Because the way in which they express the lines, the way in which they hold certain points of like, you can feel something very different, I think, with lines. If you've got a really, really good actor reading the book. Example, The Casual Vacancy, J.K. Rowling's first book after The Deathly Hallows came out, which people really ripped apart. I love it. I think it's a brilliant book. I read the book, absolutely loved it. Still absolutely love it. And then I heard the audiobook with Tom Holland reading the audiobook. It's brilliant. If you haven't heard it, please do. And there is a line, I'm not going to say what the line is because it's an important line to a certain character, that gets said in the book. And I read it and I was like, okay, yep, wow, whew. And then Tom read it, and there was this sort of pause and this little wobble in the way that he said that line. And it meant a completely different thing to me. Because I heard it as it's one character saying something of great importance to another character that will really affect them. I read it as them saying straight, blunt, duh. But because Tom put that sort of break and wobble in it, it became something where it's like that character, they realise how big of an impact these words are going to make, and it hurts them, and they're trying to hold it together. And I saw that character in that scene in a completely different way. So there we go. Sometimes an audiobook read by a great actor can really help emphasize certain lines and parts of the story and such. And also because of all the twists and turns and people and levels and complexity of this book, I'd be very intrigued to know how the person who reads the audiobook does the voices, does the tones, how they shift between the jumps in time and such. I think that would be, this is one of these things where that could be one of the most interesting audiobooks that I would have heard in a while. So yeah, I think I might have to invest in the audiobook of this. I don't know who actually reads the audiobook. You know what, let's have a look on my Audible account right now to find out who does the audiobook here for the UK, or if there is actually one. Well, there should be one, because given that it is published here in the UK. There we go. The Enigma, room 622. Oh, narrated by Chris Harper. Chris Harper, let me just check. I thought he did. Yes, he did, like The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. Oh gosh, he's done quite a few audio, but holy crap, he's done loads. Okay, so a mixture of genres. Yeah, ooh, quite a few thrillers, football related stuff. Yeah, The Bone Clock. If he's done a David Mitchell, I mean, David Mitchell's books are really complex and multiple levels and all that. It kind of fits like a glove then. Okay, I think I might have to invest in that audiobook. So there we go. I'll include the link to it in the description. But yeah, I haven't actually listened to it yet. So there we go. When it comes to the actual characters, the way that they're structured, the world building, everything, I was very impressed with this book. Sometimes it did kind of frustrate me that some characters, they were... Okay, let's say it. The women. The men, he got down to a T. The women, sometimes it really irked me with certain things that they would say and do, because I'm like, I'm not sure that would happen. You know how sometimes when men try to write women who can't write women, you get it, as a woman, when you're reading it, you're going, well, that's not realistic. That wouldn't happen. That wouldn't work. But in saying this, because I did feel that at times, given that there's so many twists and turns and such, you realise that why they said that, or why they are doing that, or why they're trying to pass that off as truth, is to cover up for other things that are happening in other places. So for what he was doing with the characters, the female characters, and characters in general, but particularly the women, I get why he wrote what he wrote, even though sometimes it did frustrate me. But yeah, the back of this book refers to it as a Russian doll thriller, and it really is. It really, really is. But I just have to say, there are some beautiful things that Joel writes in this book, and there are two passages that I want to read. Very short ones. These don't actually convey any plot. He goes through all these twists and turns, I said, and everything's up and down. You're like, oh my god, what's going on? And then he just cuts through with something that is so beautiful. I'm like, holy crap, Joel, that's brilliant. So this is a conversation that two people are having, and between Dora and Sol. I'm not going to tell you who they are because, again, so much, but a man and a woman are basically talking is all you need to know. So, and it says, the man who can make you laugh can also make you live, for there is no finer feeling, Sol had said to her one morning. Why is that? She inquired, amused. Because laughter is the strongest feeling of all. It's stronger than love and passion. Laughter is the form of perfection. We never regret it. We always experience it fully. And when it's over, we're always satisfied. We want it to go on, but we do not ask for more. And even the memory of laughter is pleasant. And there's just something about the little things that he puts in here and there. And I kind of feel like, which you'll understand with the book, it's the processing of grief and the reflecting and what it means and such. It is so wonderfully put. And the very last paragraph I'm going to read, just because I love it so much. Again, this isn't giving anything away whatsoever, but I just love that this is the way that he closes sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. This is the way he closes this beautiful book. Life is a novel whose conclusion we already know. In the end, our hero dies. The most important thing is not how our story ends, but how we fill the pages. For life, like a novel, must be an adventure, and adventures are life's holidays. I read that. I finished this book at 7:30 this morning. And just so you know, I started recording this at like, what time is it now? Just before 9 o'clock in the morning. And I started crying. I don't know if it's just because I was tired, you know, I got through this book and everything, and it was just a lot, but there was something about that just struck me. And I have to say, this is a book where you think what you know it's about, but it's not what you know it's about whatsoever. And it is a beautiful love letter to a man who I never knew existed before I picked up this book, a wonderful editor, a wonderful friend who this book is dedicated to. And I think it's a beautiful tribute to friendship, a very strong friendship. So here's the dedication at the front, and it says, "To my editor, friend and teacher, Bernard Dufalois." I hope I'm pronouncing the surname correctly. I'm so sorry if I'm not. 1926 to 2018. Every writer should have the good fortune to meet such an extraordinary publisher. And yeah, I just feel like this. It was a beautiful dedication to this entire book, to a man who clearly was so well loved and was a wonderful person. And I'm really glad that I got to read this book, and Joel talks about him in this book, and those chapters were incredibly moving. And I love the fact that this is a story where you think you know what it is and it's not. The fact that it is so complex yet so simple. The fact that it's a modern setting, but we took out all of technology and the old worldy feel that it then gave. I love the fact that even though it frustrated me, it kept me going. I wanted to know about room 622. I love that it took me to a place that I've never been to, Switzerland in particular, there what I'm talking about, but also because obviously this is a fictional hotel and all that lot. It's a fictional world, but it's real at the same time. I love the fact that, true to life, that you couldn't trust everyone. You couldn't necessarily believe everything that you see. You couldn't even trust yourself at times when reading this to get to the truth. And I even though it was hard and frustrating at times, I loved every minute of it. I'm very, very impressed by this bit of work, I have to say. And it's not going to work for everyone. It really isn't. I know that because of how complex it is. But yeah, the payoff is worth the pain and frustration of getting through it. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on The Enigma of Room 622 by Joel Dicker. So time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? Yes, I would. Like I said, I'd quite like to try the audio version just to see what it would be like. But yeah, I think that would be really, really interesting reread, knowing what I'm going into this time and seeing the tale from a completely different perspective. Now I know what the answer is, and will it live up hold up, should I say, by knowing the secret. I think that would be, for example, if you want to see a film that holds up even though you know the ending, watch The Others from 2001. If you've never watched it before, watch it and then watch it again, and you'll see. And even to this day, I love that film so much. And to this day, in 2024, I've watched it so many times, I practically know the script off by heart. It still holds up. It's so good because the person who's directing it, the person who's put the pieces together, knows how to make it work. And Joel is just that masterful in this book. Would I read any more of Joel's books? Yes, I definitely would. I think it'd be very, very interesting. I haven't actually looked at the rest of his bibliography because, as I said, I finished this at like 7:30 this morning. Got up, got ready for the day, jumped in the shower. This is why my hair is still wet, and then turned on my laptop. So I haven't had time to explore his other books and such, but I would be interested in doing that. And would I recommend this to anyone? Yes, I would, but I would tell them this is one of these books where you've got to really concentrate. There's going to be lots of twists and turns, and the structuring is not going to suit everyone, but my God, it is worth it. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on The Enigma of Room 62 by Joel Dicker. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely together at your side. And I'll be back with my thought on my next book, which is actually a trilogy. It's Catherine Cookson's Malin series. So we've got The Malin Streak, The Malin Letter, and The Malin Girl. Combined, this is about 900 pages. And I've been debating, and I've decided now that I'm going to read all three and then review them together. So depending on, because obviously I said like my work's going to be like crazy this week and it's 900 pages, it might be 2 or possibly 3 weeks. I don't know. We shall see how quickly I can get through these books. But yeah, I'll be back with my thoughts on the Malin trilogy as soon as I am done. All right then, guys. Bye.